Welcome, 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 everyone. You're here now to another episode. Thank you for coming to another episode of Walking with the Master, focused on the life of Dr. Moses Powell. But this is actually sharing with you the lives, his legacy of those who have traveled with him, have been exposed to him, have been touched by him in some way or another. I have today as my guests, which are not guests. You know, when someone comes into your house and their family, they're not guests. They are a part of this whole process. They're a part of the life of Dr. Moses Powell. Again, you remember one of those that was on the Sanuces brothers show. And this is Ahmad Sanuces here. He's right there. All right. And we have also with us Grandmaster Bill McCloud, a top proficionado in the art of Sanuces, Sanuces, Kumiteru, and Vijitute. Grandmaster Bill McCloud. And we have my dear brother also, Professor, and I was going to say Rhino, you know what I mean? But I'm going to give you his real name first. Professor Roland Stevens, you know, also known as the Rhino. And you know that you don't want to get hit by a rhino, all right? So anyway, thank you all for being present. And we're going to get right into this here. So I want to start off by mentioning and asking Grandmaster Bill to kind of share with us, you know, When Worlds Collide. This is a show, again, focusing or having some focus on When Worlds Collide. So Grandmaster Bill, what do you have to say about that time period?
Well, you know, when we start talking about When Worlds Collide, we have to go all the way back to its inception at Paul Robeson, where all of the ingredients started to come together to create When Worlds Collide, which was your thought, your idea, your child, your baby. And in Paul Robeson, you had before the Sanuces brothers were Sanuces brothers. They wasn't Sanuces brothers yet. They were beginners, white belts who was coming in to learn. It was a Quill, Majid, Ahmad, and the other brother, I can't think of his name right now. They were all there and stuff.
Marcel.
A whole host of other people, Professor Chris, Rhino here, and they would. I think he maybe was a green belt or purple belt at that time. And then, you know, then we got to When Worlds Collides, and When Worlds Collides, the Sanuces brothers were born, right? And when we would go to tournaments or any place, they will always identify themselves as Aquil Sanuces, Osei Sanuces, Ahmad Sanuces, and Majid Sanuces. Everybody was the Sanuces brothers. And when they would go up to the officials to, when they was about to perform, they was always perform as, especially Osei. My name is Osei Sanuces. And one of the things that at this event, I used to go and stand in front of the judges, and Osei would come all the way over my head, rolling, and he would identify himself as Osei Sanuces, you know? So, and then, you know, the Sanuces brothers started to take on a different type of persona at When Worlds Collide. They were very energetic in who they were around When Worlds Collides and stuff, and they were kind of famous and infamous at the same time. You know, so a story about the Sanuces brothers. I'm glad Ahmad is here. I got crazy love for him and Quill because they know that on a very deep level, their family with me forever and ever and forever. Right?
That's right.
So the World Collides when they, all of them, the whole pack, Ahmad Sanuces, Quill Sanuces, Ahmad Osei Sanuces, Majid Sanuces, all of them used to have the school jackets at that time. And they all came into place with the jackets turned inside out. The jackets was turned inside out. So I don't think you were there that day at the time. You probably were doing the X-Men thing. And so I seen them and they came in. I was like, why you have the jackets inside out? And they would stop, they would all look at each other. You know what I'm saying? All right, what happened while the jackets is inside out? Well, we just didn't want to get no infamous paint on Sean Anthony's name, so we turned the jackets inside out. So, but it was very When World Collide was a place where so many different energies and people came through. You would need at least 10 programs to talk about When World Collides and all of the things that happened from the Young Saviors, the comedy club that was there on Thursday night, and all the energy that went around that, all of the famous people like Tracy Morgan, who came through, used to perform there with the little propeller hat on his head. You remember that, Ahmad? He had the propeller hat on his head.
With the helicopter.
Yeah.
With the helicopter.
Yeah. And, in the beginning, like all of them were white belts. All of them started, Osei, Quill, Ahmad, Majid, they were all white belts at the same time, and so another real story, we was about to perform at John Jay High School. It was a tribute to the Masters at that time. And Ahmad asked could he hang with us? And no, he went to Doc. He asked Doc, said, yo, I can do this. Can I hang with the Doc? Said, no, man, you can't hang with this crew. We get ready to go and we're going to perform and stuff. Your stuff is not at that level where you can roll. No, I can do this. I can do this. Doc said, he said, okay. He said, you want to roll with them? Okay, I'm going to let you roll. But if you mess up one time, he said, the end of this is not going to be too good for you.
I remember that.
Best performance I ever seen Ahmad do. Quill. They tore the house down. And they were yellow belts at the time. They were yellow belts. Yeah.
I do remember
so that's
that.
one of the beginning stories of the Sanuces brothers.
I remember that.
Do you remember Ahmad?
I do remember that because Doc said, I'm not playing with you. I'm not playing with you. If you go out there, you embarrass me. You got a lot of stuff going on. And I said, that is the most pressure I had in my whole entire life. So I knew I had to do something. And it came out well. I don't think I've ever performed better than that day. And I think it was all that pressure.
Yeah. Now, Steve, there was some great time. Now, they talked on the other program. They talked about how they looked for you all when you all were testing to get at you all. So what do you have to say about that time and these brothers?
Well, those, you know, like you said, those were great, great times. You know, I'll never forget. And I don't know if they realized that we used to call them the Teenage Mutant Turtles. You remember when that was out? We used to call them the Mutant Turtles because they were so tight. You know, they were such a tight unit, you know. So, you know, Ahmad was, you know, a lot of times was the mouthpiece for that group too. He was the mouthpiece for that group. And it was just great times, you know.
So there was jumping in here. There was a time, Grandmaster, when you know, I think it was Osei, Forever, and Professor Steve was supposed to be tested for black belt.
Yes.
So, you know, they knew, you know, back then in Real World Collides, it wasn't like you had preparation to test. You had to always be ready. You couldn't get ready for the test. You had to be ready at any moment, at any time that test came up. Close the door, where you going, don't get dressed, test. You had to be ready at that moment, right? So it's not like now. Like now, you can prep and stuff. Okay, the test is coming up. You better train for the test. You know, it wasn't like that in World Collide. It's like you had to be ready all the time. So your training took a different persona than the time it is now. So what Professor Steve and Forever used to do, because they knew if me and you were in the place at the same time, to pop off at any second. So what they would do, they would send one of them in to see whether you was upstairs and I was downstairs before they came in. Are they both there? If they knew that if both of us was there, they know that this test could jump off right then and there. And so they had spies coming in to look, check out to see whether or not both of us was there at the same time. So finally, it was the scariest thing for them to come to class each night not knowing when this test was going to come off. So testing was like, you would come in, you would take a full class. Class started at 7, I think it was 7 to 9, I think we did, right? You did a full class, right? And then after the class, when your gi was drenching wet, he was like, hold up, don't go nowhere. You, and you are tested. And you couldn't say I'm double parked outside, or, you know, I got to go to the store to get something for the baby. There was none of that. You wasn't out there until testing finished. And sometimes testing finished like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's right.
You know, so it was a great arena for developing and cultivating warriors, and it's that type of thing is needed now. It's the psychology of knowing to always stay ready instead of getting ready, to always stay ready. You know, because as this world evolves to the way that it is now, it's most important to always keep your tools and everything sharp, so that, you know, whatever eventuality occur, that you are prepared to handle.
Yeah. You know, you're right, and you're making me think about, you know, the period today and yesterday. Okay, today and yesterday, and when you think about today and yesterday, people are being made to feel at ease on a certain level, right? In terms of somebody's after me, somebody's gonna do something to me where we made sure that the feeling was, and it was already in society, that somebody was there to do something to you, and it was going to be physical. See, so it made me to think about the situation or the science that deals with the frog being in water or a pot of water, and you gradually turn the pot up, and if you do it in a gradual degree, the frog will not jump out. And by the time it gets to the boiling, it will find that that frog will cook. But if it was started at a hot degree, that frog would jump out from the beginning. But see, society right now is making us like the frog that is in a pot of water that they have in degrees begun to take it up. So you find yourself, being caught out there, because it don't look hot, but it is being turned up gradually, if you understand what I'm saying. So today's student, today's people are not seeing it like back in the day, coming when it was closer to the 60s and then the 70s and the 80s. So, it was a time that was already hot, and people were looking and coming from a different perspective back in them days.
It was really, when World Collides, it was really hot. We used to start off, and you remember, we used to start off, you did a half an hour horse stance. You stood in that position for a half an hour until you started shaking and trembling like you had a seizure.
That's right.
And then we had like, Moses was there in the morning when we got there, every day, 7 days a week.
That's right.
30 days a month, 365 a year. He was there all the time. Matter of fact, I would leave him there, and when I got back in the morning, he was there before I got there.
That's right. He was there now.
And he was there every day, and so he watched everything that occurred in the training that was going on between people who was training, who wasn't training. So he knew everything and stuff, So an occasion happened one time when he was on the mat, and he was doing a technique, and Ahmad kept smiling. He said, "Am I doing something that's funny?" Right? And Ahmad kept smiling. He said, what are you smiling at? And Ahmad kept smiling. He said, "You better take that smile off your face." Ahmad kept smiling. He said, "Bill," he said, "come here. Take that smile off his face." I said, "Ahmad, stop smiling." He said, "Professor, I can't." I said, "Ahmad, you better stop smiling." I said, "Doc said, I want you to do something to take that smile off his face." So at World Collides, down in the basement, we had that little mat, if you want to call it a mat, right?
Right.
One of the little judo mat was real thin, you got your feet cut on it, everything inside. So I started throwing them on the mat, right? I said, the harder I threw him, the more he smiled. I said, "Oh, stop smiling." Take him over there, throw him over there on the side, on the floor now. Take him, throw him over there until that smile leave his face. So this it was really a serious place where you came to train under the watchful eye of Dr. Power and stuff, because he was there all the time. When he wasn't the
Let me see your time.
orchestra, you know, everybody else had to be proficient to carry out his dictates the way that he seen fit for it to be done. You know, and then we had on Saturdays, we had Professor V. He used to come down and he would teach a 2-hour class on Saturday, 2-hour class. You thought it was 6 or 8 hours in those 2 hours. The information you got and the pain that you experienced with his presence on the mat.
Lord have mercy.
And yeah, Lord have mercy is right, Jim, because I used to come upstairs and say, Sean Anthony, I said, yo, listen, Professor B is downstairs. Come on down and stuff. You say, I'll be right there. I'm coming right down. And stuff. And I'm still waiting for you to come down, Jim. It was no joke. So Doc was upstairs. He was upstairs by the where you come in at the desk and stuff. He was sitting there, and so I was looking for some Misery Love Company. So I was looking for some company, right? And I said to Doc, I said, Doc, Professor V is downstairs. He said, what the hell are you telling me for? I'm not going down there. Oh yeah. So it was a phenomenal thing and stuff where we came together, and it was the thing about it. What made it really good? It was like, I don't know if you want to call it a cultural center or whatever it is. It was more like family.
Yes.
It was deeply family oriented. You know.
Yeah.
There's stories after stories about that institution in place at the time that it existed. And as I said before, so many different people came through there. We can't even begin to name the people who came through, famous people, infamous people, you name it. Everybody came through there because it was so strategically located where it was easily accessible for everybody to get there.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, all kinds of people came through.
And you know, what I'm going to do also is actually the primary person who built the upstairs entertainment aspect was and is Strafe. Now Strafe is the one who, you know, wrote the song and performed the song, set it off on the left, on the right side. So that individual, and you all are going to get a chance, so we're going to let you hear a little snippet of that. But we're going to, I'm going to get him on and have him talk about When Worlds Collide and that whole piece. And I'm going to have him to share all of the people that he was responsible for helping, you understand, in their early days, in comedy, in music and whatnot. He did a lot because he was already, you know, an icon as it relates to that music industry, and he's still doing it today. So we're gonna get a chance to have Strafe on and talk about that. That's going to be a really interesting one. I may have some martial arts in it, but I'm telling you, it's going to be interesting all the same, because we have stories where the martial artists were in, because they used to have parties up there.
What time does your card say?
Ahmad, we can hear you. Parties up there, and we had to secure the parties, and it was us, the martial arts group, that were securing those functions, and we've had some little action up in that piece too. So, but anyway, we'll talk about that. So let me ask you, Steve. I know you're the laid back type. You got all the stuff running around in your head. We need to hear some of it. Let the audience know some things that you want to bring out about when worlds collide and those that particular time. Let me ask you, sir, I didn't get a chance to talk with you at all. Let me ask you, what was your introduction? How did you get introduced into the arts, sir?
Well, I along like a lot of martial artists, I came up late 60s, early 70s, watching the martial arts films. And, we were out there trying to mimic, everything they were doing. And I came across a gentleman named Sensei Walter Hallett down in my dojo. He was into Goju, and he took a few of us on as students. So I trained with him for a while, and I got up to, I believe, green belt with him. And I had a partner I used to run with, as a teenager. We used to hang out in Chinatown, and we used to look for martial arts schools. And we used to go in there and sit and watch, and as much as we could, as long as they would let us in, or as long as they would let us in there and stay. And we would, we would get as much information as we could, and take that back and practice and practice and practice. And I also, I used to go to the 42nd Street gym for boxing. I did some training there. And eventually I came along. I was working a city job. I don't know if you want me to mention it or not.
It's okay.
And we were working together, you and I. And, people started saying, there's another guy that works here that's into martial arts. I said, really? Really? He said, yeah, you should check him out. So, I was early 20s. I was in good shape, So finally, I think I approached you, and I said, how you doing? Blah, 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 it's martial arts. And you told me about the school over at St. John's. So you invited me to come work out with you, take a class. So I went. We went upstairs inside St. John's. It's marble floor. So I thought at first we were going to work out on the marble floor, but eventually you did put out a thin canvas mat. It was really, really thin. It was like putting a sheet on the bed, right? So, we're working out.
Yeah.
On the calisthenics and stuff. I'm hanging out. I'm in there. I'm hanging with you. I'm hanging with you. I'm good. And then, we do our thing. And then you start to say, all right, we're going to do some mat work. So you started showing me some of the rollouts and the falls and stuff. And once I saw that, I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was pretty good. But once I saw that, I was like, wow, I got, this is impressive. This brother's impressive. I gotta stick with him. I gotta learn this. Right? So after that, you said, I think you said, yeah, let's move around a little bit. Let's just spar a little bit, touch and see. Let me see what you know. Okay, so we started, just doing some light touching, and before I know you're sweeping me. But unexpectedly, you're like sweeping me. Before I can hit the ground, you're catching me, right? And I'm like, boom, bam, right? And I had never seen anything like that except like on TV or in the Kung Fu movies. And I was astonished, you know, I was like amazed. And fortunate for me, you took me on as your student. And yeah, from that point, you know, I've been your student. I've been with you since then. And you know, I don't think there's any way I could ever repay you for the knowledge and the mentoring, the friendship, the brotherhood, all of those things that you have given me over these years. And it's been a long time too. It's been a long, long time. And I would like to thank you publicly for that, you and Grandmaster Bill. You know, I really appreciate you and respect you to the utmost.
So also, Ahmad, you there, Ahmad? So
Yeah, I'm here.
I remember hearing the story, and I'm glad you're here so you can tell me whether it's right or wrong, where you didn't believe Grandmaster Anthony could fight because he was so young, looked so young. You thought that you could figure I could take this guy, man. So I heard that story someplace, Ahmad. So I said, yo, he said, because Ahmad being who Ahmad is Sanuces, man, you know, he ain't all that, you know. Like I think I could take
That was a rumor. That was a rumor. That was a rumor.
That was a rumor.
That was a rumor.
That was a rumor. I heard like you pushed in there, but you got pushed out of there.
Yeah. Somebody was lying.
Another story about we was down in the basement, and this brother came down. These were real rough brother. This stuff talk about rough. It was like we had everything came through World Collide, good, the bad, and the ugly. Oh man. So we down in the basement, and this brother like, yo, man. See, Grandmaster Anthony came down. He was like, yo, I want to fight him. And so Grandmaster was like, in his unique way. I always tell him he jazz, I rock and roll, right? So he started doing the march. He started smiling. He like, you want to move with me? He said, yeah, man, I want to move with y'all. Right? He said, all right, come on. Got on the mat. And then he started like, he did all the stuff that the professor was just talking about the kicking, the sweeping, the punching, the whole 9 yards, to put him into place and let him know, man, you need to come here and practice a little bit harder before you try this again. You know what I'm saying? You can come back in a little while. But it was the mindset of those who came along at World Collide who thought that what we do wasn't real. And they found out that this is real. Another story. Thursday night, comedy night. We're down on the mat, we're training. Because the comedy thing was going on upstairs, the class thing was going on downstairs as well, right? So me and Rutalo, we on the mat. And one of the people from the comedy, he probably just came in to watch the shows, came downstairs to use the bathroom. The bathroom thing was downstairs in the basement. So he comes downstairs and he sees us on the mat training and stuff. He said, yo, doing this karate stuff down here. Yo, did that stuff really work? Here, let me try somebody. And Lutalo jumped out there and we had to like take Lutalo off the guy. And I was talking to Chris about this yesterday, Professor Chris about this yesterday. So he got another perspective about it. He'll share it another time. Well, we had to pull him off of him, and we went upstairs because I went upstairs behind him to see whether or not he was in the crowd or whatever. He wasn't in the crowd and stuff. So, you know, we, you know, an alert type of thing went up and stuff. But thank God nothing happened as a result of that. But these was the type of people who came into World Collides that want to see whether or not the thing that we doing was lit or not, you know? So it was such a finishing school because number one, Doc was there. So anybody who came through there, you had to represent the fact that he was there and whatever it was that happened, you know, it fell under his umbrella.
Yes.
Just to piggyback on what
I'm gonna have to cut out because it's my turn to do the vaccination. So it was a pleasure. I wish I could have gave some more input. All right.
Well, we appreciate your presence. We know you're working, and you know, continue to handle that business. But be careful while you're up in that up in there. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Take care.
Ahmad, before you leave, Ahmad, I wish Quill was on because
he was trying to get on.
Okay.
He had text me.
Okay. You
right.
and the Quill are always extremely special to me. After the Quill, y'all are very y'all are special beings.
Yes.
We love you.
I love you too.
So yes. So Grandmaster, there was I don't know if you remember Rex and Brandon.
Yes. Yes, I believe so.
Two white guys used to come down.
Yes.
And they would like, they would come in when down in training. Brandon, he was a movie star. He I think the television program he was on at the time is Acapulco Heat.
Okay.
So I come downstairs one time, and he was really rah type of white boy. He was down there, and one of the black belts, I don't want to mention his name, right? He was Brandon was like, you know, he had him on fire a little bit, right? So I said, I said, hold up, right? I said, you box? He was like, yeah. He was telling me he boxed. He was telling me gyms and stuff where he worked out with different people and stuff. I said, okay. And we started moving around and stuff, you know? And so I had a little boxing background, a little boxing skills and stuff, right? So I employed those skills and stuff to, you know, just to, you know, to help the brother out who he was dealing with and stuff down there. So after that, he started calling me Big George. Like George Foreman, man, you was hitting me like George Foreman. I said, yo, you can find another name, but I don't want George, man, because George knocked out. You know? So, but these was the type of individuals that came through. It was a whole host of different type of personalities that came through, and they was appreciative because, you know, they had the spirit to come and just to test the waters, to find out whether or not, you know, whether this was live or was it Memorex.
Yes.
You know, and so the name of When World Collides, you know, this institution in terms of martial arts at the time that it came through is so renowned. They had another individual who was there. Matter of fact, he came out of the correction thing with Professor Steve and yourself and forever Andre Sweets. You remember Andre Sweets?
Yes, sir.
Huh? You remember him?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he gave us the job because he was managing Mecca, right? Which was a subsidiary of the Shark Bar down in the village and stuff. So he came and I think he asked Forever first, and Forever asked myself to come down to help him, you know, security wise at the restaurant. So it became, as a result of that, the type of people that it was myself, Forever, Gene, and Professor Steve, right? So we went down there, and you know, the restaurant became our personal restaurant after a while.
Yes.
You know, and it was being that it was a subsidiary of the Shark Bar, all of the hip hop community came through there. You name them, they came through there. From Busta Rhymes to Nas to Angela Bassett, you name them, they came through there. Q-Tip, Q, everybody came through there. But just like World Collides, it was the good, the bad, and the ugly that came through. So there was a lot of ugly that came through as well. So, and this is where the training of those people who came into play. So you know, when it's dark, you can see who the stars are, right? So and there was a lot of darkness going on down there, right? So the stars of what it is that they got from when World Collide started to shine in that darkness that was going on down there. And Gene was my Gene and Forever. It was Gene Forever. It was Gene Forever and Professor Steve and myself, right? And show you how close knit a family that existed in that scenario. So I get there one night, and you know, we're supposed to start at 10. I think it was at 10. We started at 10. Yeah. And I get there, G wasn't there. So, you know, I'm checking to see where he at and stuff. And I'm calling him, and I'm using, you know, Queen's English real nice, right? As to where he's at. And he said that he was with Forever and he couldn't leave Forever right there, right? So for whatever the situation was, whatever the situation, I said, well, Forever can handle his own stuff, man. You need to just get here because we have an obligation to be here to do what it is that we need to do. He said, I hear you, Professor, but I can't leave him right now. You know, so I said, no, man, just come on, just leave him. He can handle that. Oh, Professor, we got a bad connection. I'm gonna call you right back. Right. So these are the type of close-knit type of in the trenches people. Did you know that these were your go-to folks when it got real dark and you needed stars to brighten up whatever the situation happened to be, you know? The same thing with some of the Sanuces brothers, the Bar and Quill. They were equally as it came out from the type of spiritual and philosophical training that came under your tutelage at When World Collides. You know, I can't even find enough the right adjectives to explain how strong and how powerful a network When World Collides was in bridging and bringing together that type of camaraderie, right? And it still exists up until now. We're like family as a result or you, then, you know, then I can even go back even further because I always blame you, Jim. I said, man, you know, you dragged me into this stuff. and and you left me here with the Sanuces brothers and the rest of these guys here, but they're family oriented in terms of crisis. I don't even know how to explain how powerful that is, and for people who maybe listen to understand how strong that is, right? You hear a lot of other things in terms of when we went places to seminars and stuff. A lot of the times, people would see the camaraderie that existed amongst us. That wasn't just like teacher-student type thing. It was like family.
Yes.
And, yes, and it still exists up until now. You know, what we do is what we do. And so a case in point is a story that, I don't know if you remember Nat. He used to train with us over at the Brooklyn Aikido place. But Nat and Doc was real tight. Nat and Doc were real tight, right? They used to hang out and socialize and that type of thing, right? So they was on the mat one time, and Nat got on the mat and Doc was teaching and stuff. And Nat called him Mo. He said, Doc turned around and looked. He said, "What you said?" I said, "Listen." In an animal way, Doc said, "Listen, we cool in the fair. We hang in the whole nine. But when you on this here map and I'm teaching, I'm your daddy. Don't you get it twisted."
That's right.
Compartmentalize, you know, our affiliation and association. Right now, I'm your daddy. You know, so the type of understanding that we had, and I heard this someplace before, I don't want to say exactly where. It's like, when it comes to Moses and the hierarchy, it's like this. It's like, you have no birth without parental interaction. You have no birth without parental interaction. Anything that is born from something else. Otherwise, you GMO, right?
Yes.
So
Very good.
So everything, so this is the thing why, you know, in terms of speaking about Doc, if it wasn't no Doc, we wouldn't be having this dialogue here right now.
That's
He's the reason why this dialogue here exists, because he existed. We exist because he existed, right? And then what came after him is the next in line for his existence. So those who think that they were born without a parent is what they call an AI, artificial intelligence. So and this, you know, it's crazy for you. It's crazy, I feel, to not to have the proper understanding is that everything is born from something, right? You give birth to my father will always be my father, and I can never get in front of my father. My mother will always be my mother. I can never get in front of my mother. They're my parents. I always have to honor and give respect to the source from which I came into being through, right? And it's likewise with the artists, even though it's not a lot of that goes around today, because we forget, we think that, you know, we are what they call orthodox. We think we are orthodox. We gave our own self-birth. You know?
Yes.
So it's a lot of that. So I strongly feel, so getting back to World Collides is that we walk in peace and fear will not prevail. We're not the aggressor, but if we attack, we fight with those who fight with us. And if we fight to the death.
That's right.
Now, that was a mantra that kind of gelled those things together. And some of the stories that we can't like talk on this on now, but that mantra created those ones that you could walk in darkness with.
Yes.
You know, it's like that understanding, you know, that code of ethics of integrity and morality and development of character and stuff as well. You know, so the birth, because you didn't have the type of technology at World Collide, you didn't have the type of technology that exists now.
That's right.
So you had to come in and you got instructions from the elders and stuff that was there.
Yes.
You know, it's like there's in every family there's always some unruly children.
Right.
You know, but nevertheless, it's like, you know, what we have done, Jim, we plant seeds, and you know, if we put water on it and give it some sunshine and you know some fertilizer sometime, and hopefully it grows stuff. But the seeds is planted, we'll see how what kind of, hope we get a beanstalk out of it.
Yeah, that's what we look for. That's what we look for. And you know, you mentioned a number of different things that make me to ask some questions. You know, and just think about when it look, you have types of children, right? You know, you have the children. Now, in a family, you got the children that are older children, and then you got the younger ones. And the little young ones tend to be a little bit more needy. You know, they're needy and they want to claim the love of the parent. Sometimes neglecting or ignoring the elder children. You know, let's just deal with sons. Let's do it like that. And so when you got that kind of situation, I mean, like when you start talking about how Doc was there all the time, of course he was in and out, but that was his place. You know, that was where he came. He made that home. And in fact, when Worlds Collide was looked at as Dr. Moses Powell's dojo. Yeah, is that Moses' dojo? Is that Master Musa's dojo? Yes, you know, it's right over there. You know, so that was his place, and we got a chance, by God's grace and permission, man, by Allah's grace, we got a chance to be with him in a lot of different scenarios and situations where we learned him on even more than the mat, even though we always, listen, Doc didn't, you know, if something was going on downstairs, he gonna come down. He gonna come down. No, it don't matter whose class it was. And he's gonna say something, he's gonna show something, and he may not get on the mat. He may take somebody while he's off the mat and use them. And no, show him this, tell him this. And he would do that kind of thing around, you know, and we got a chance to see that. But there are those who claim him, but didn't get an opportunity to actually feel him on all of these levels, you know. And I'll say this too before I really structure the question, that you know you have well, with Doc, you know, Doc was the kind of man that he was so incredible that he really didn't have to be with you a long time to make you feel that he was your father. He didn't have to be around a long time. He didn't have to be near you, you know, he could touch you just a little bit, whether it's with verbal and you felt that spirit and wanted to keep it, and now he becomes your father in your mind, and you move on. But so I have to respect and honor that aspect of him, that everybody didn't have to spend all of the time that we spent with him to claim it. But I say this, that those who have been with him and shed blood because being with him on the mat, and felt his pleasure and his pain, and he demonstrated it in his movement, should not be disrespected, because in fact, while he is not present, really they should be coming to. What do you think about that statement?
Oh, absolutely. I think that Dr. Moses Powell was an extremely interesting human being. And being that, it's like when you visit somebody, you visit them. And it's not like living with them or staying with them. It's like you come in, you visit, you socialize, and then you leave, right? But it's like when your parents were raising you, you was there all the time. Your parents, they raised you, they gave you ethics, they gave you moral, they chastised you when you was in error, and it contributed to you who it was that you were becoming, your being. It contributed to that. And because you learn the ethics and the morals that governs the application of the tools that you was using, you have a different expression of how they were expressed. So I personally feel that there is a psychology of this concept of Sanuces that Moses left, in addition to his art form, because like everybody knows that he would get on the thing, and if you've seen him today, what he did today, he may not do it tomorrow, right? But the psychology and the mindset that governs the application of what he did in that particular moment was based upon his spiritual and mental inner understanding of the application of this particular tool at that time, right? So he made do a Kodesh, case in point, right? They had we was doing a morning class with Dr. Powell downstairs, and he did a technique. And there was this brother, I think it was Gerald, if I'm not mistaken. Brother said, "Oh, Master, can I feel that?" And I was like, "Oh man, why you should have let that ride, man." So now did he do the same thing? So now this is what he did. I'm trying to verbalize what I seen that he did. It was Kodesh. So he slipped to the side, as he real smooth. He slipped to the side, grabbed the hand. Normally he do the Kodesh, turn to Kodesh, and he go over and take the fall, right? No. He slipped to the side, do the Kodesh. He got him doing the Kodesh. He got him going up over in the air. He reaches up under it and pull him out the air. I did the same thing. I said the same thing. But I screamed. I said, "Oh," I screamed for him. Before he hit the mat, I screamed for him. Because I knew that was like, oh my goodness. Now, so I seen that. I said, oh my goodness. What was that? Look at the expression that that was in him. So that expression was in him that came out of him in that moment because he asked, maybe he took it as a challenge. I don't know how he'd seen that. But okay, you want to experience it? Okay. So he had different experience for different levels, depends on how you approach the situation and stuff, you know? So I seen him do things that were just miraculous in terms of expressing the spiritual, mental concept of Sanuces. Not the physical, I swept him, I punched him, I kicked him, but his mindset.
Yes.
That went into the use and the application of what he did. So real talk, I used to say, Doc, that was really trifling. Thank you very much, Bill. Like, well, thank you.
He understood, yes.
Oh my goodness. So for those who have there's understanding for those who have understanding of what I'm saying in terms of the psychology of Sanuces. A lot of times we talk about Sanuces in terms of he swept him, he did this, he threw him and stuff. But nobody really talk about the psychology, the spiritual psychology, the spiritual mindset of that mind. And this is why he would say himself, I am Sanuces.
Yes.
Right? So a lot of people still don't really get that. You know, he didn't say, because you did this thing here and you swept him and you did some embroidered hand stuff. He didn't say that was Sanuces. He was talking about that thing. And then in class, sometime, and I know you heard this 1,000 times, Grandma, he would say, he would do something and he would ask the question, can you do this? Yo, I'm answering like, yo, can you do this? Because he did it, it was real dark, right? It was real dark. He just wanted to know how many of you have the mindset to set this off, to set this in motion. And it wasn't, Grandmaster, you know, I go on record to say it wasn't really a whole lot. You know, many were called.
Yes.
But few were chosen.
That's right. That's right.
Just to add a little bit to what Jim Bill was saying, and talking about the training at When Worlds Collide, you know, it was a multifaceted institution there, but the training there, the martial arts training was top notch. And everybody knew that. Everybody knew you want a serious workout, you got to get down to When Worlds Collide. And people used to come from all over the city, and not just all over the city, from out of state, just to train at When Worlds Collide, because they knew of the caliber of the instructors and the masters there, you know, like yourself and Grandmaster Bill and Dr. Moses Powell. You know, they knew that the training there was exceptional. And that's why you got people that came from everywhere to come train there. And, you know, I feel fortunate that I was able to be in the presence of all these different masters, you know, during my training coming up. And, you know, I've seen stuff done that I've never seen done anywhere else before. Any other system of martial arts, I've seen things done that, you know, people will probably think that I'm lying. If I told them I saw Grandmaster Anthony do this, or if I saw Dr. Moses Powell do this, they would think that I was exaggerating. But it was real. I've seen you do stuff not only on the mat and at tournaments, but I've seen you do stuff in real life. So I know that this, you know, this art form that we use is real. It works, it's real. You know, and I bear witness, going back to, you know, what Grandmaster Bill was saying, you know, this training that we do, at that time, going back in the day a little bit, you know, you had to be prepared all the time. It was about being prepared all the time. And I bear witness because you took me, going back to Paul Robeson, we did a regular class, you know, a regular training class, and you let me get dressed to go home, and we're actually walking out the door, and you said, you know what? You're gonna test today. And I had to go put my gi back on and do the test.
That's right.
And that was the way it was, you know. But I you know, I appreciate it. I appreciate it now.
Yeah, you know, Professor Steve is a retired New York City police intelligence, from the intelligence unit. He was one of the hip hop cops, right? So the details, I used to call him a tease him. I used to say, where you at, man? You sitting in the car with a paper bag on your head? Because he was always in the trenches.
Always.
Yeah, always in the trenches. So I'm trying to say this here, right, about the mindset of the art form as well as the art form. You understand? So I worked at Raucous Records for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, right? And it was all hip hop. Everybody used to come through there, and even the cast that I was working with, you had to be, because everybody wanted to test the waters. So you couldn't be, you know, you couldn't be half about doing that around them hip hop. I mean, everybody at Raucous, everybody was from Cool G Rap, Sabam Sadiq, Mos, Qua. You know, everybody, all these hip hop cats was there. Crazy Sam, that's a situation to talk about at another time. You know, but it was crazy. So we would, from World Collides, these are the guys. So wherever I went, if we was doing the thing, I would always call for one of them. So, you know, Gene was on my go-to guy, you know, because he was always lit. He was always good for excitement. You know, he's always good for excitement and stuff. So, you know, a situation that occurred one time with me and Gene. Matter of fact, it was this particular story is what got Gene, Doc promoted Gene to black belt, right? So he was like, he said, Doc told me to put the black belt on. I said, Gene, you can't wear the black belt around me and Anthony, man. You can't do that. You got to go through the same portal that everybody else went through before you put the black belt. Every time Doc said, man, you know, put that black belt on, man, because I know what a black belt should be. But it was from the stories that I would tell Doc about Gene. He was a field operative, and so one time, you know, I'm fussing with him. I want to give him all the detail. I'm fussing with Gene, my man. I said, Gene, why you do that? What could you make it? He says, Professor, listen, man. He says, I know about use of force and conflict resolution. I used to teach it in the academy. I looked at him like he was crazy. Say, well, you sure ain't demonstrated none of that right now. You know? So this was our family, and Jim, like, you were the catalyst that ignited all of the things that we're talking about, because you created the institution to give birth to these individuals that came through. And then you caught me where I was at, and you snatched me along with you because misery loved company. Figured it well. I'm gonna pull him along with me. So
but I gotta say that, you know, yes, I opened up the facility and whatnot, but it could not have really been what it became without your presence. Like you said, you know, I'm jazz, you rock and roll, and it needed both to produce the kind of thing that we had. And you were an anchor in the spot. Like, you know, I mean, I got busy, you know, when stuff started going well, and you kept the play, and not a beat was missing. and I got an opportunity to know what was going on. And we had to deal with stuff together, man, you know.
Yeah.
and I know we're really, really at the end of this particular episode, but I remember a time when we had a conference room downstairs. Now, no matter what, with me and you, we would be conferencing everywhere, but it was a situation with Doc, and we wanted to bring something to his attention, and I'd asked Doc, you know, we had asked Doc to come on down so we could talk, you know, about it, and we brought it to Doc, you know, the situation and what was going on and how we felt, and Doc said, "Oh, it's all right." So I said, "Hey, Doc, listen, no, you know, you maybe you don't really understand. This is." He said, "Hey, man, I told you to leave it alone," and so we got into a lot of different things where we were going to, you know, go haywire on some people, but Doc, you know, kept us from moving out in that way. And then, you know, later on wanted us to move out in that way. But the point is, we got an opportunity to, man, experience so much. But to end what I was saying is, you were a tremendous and are a tremendous anchor. You know, you, like you said, I got you into this, you know, but you ain't never jump out like a lot of other people.
No.
You've been there the whole rip, and you even kept the joker going. You know, when I had to bounce out of New York into Chicago, nah, you know, it may not be the big when worlds collide, but we still got family rocking and rolling, gave them a place to come to, even though we got to chase them all the time.
You know, like we were talking the other day, and one of the things, it was so interesting, like, you know, we didn't mention your sons in World Collide. You can't even mention World Collide without mentioning them.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Omar and Anthony.
Uh-huh.
You told me they were like, now, like Omar is, I don't know, Omar is a monster now, man. But they were Turk. Little Anthony, he was all around the place. You couldn't get him to do a kata. He would roll and stuff, play around on the mat. But only thing he wanted to do was fight. When it was fighting time, when it was time to fight, little Anthony was there and stuff.
Front of the line.
There was some pictures we had, you know, back then, the kids and stuff were doing flying rollouts over the chairs. They would start like 1 chair, 2 chairs. And I think he would hit about 4 or 5 chairs. Little Anthony was flying over them. You could see him in the air like he was jet blue or something. You know what I'm saying? Flying over the chairs and stuff. And so all of that was going on as well and stuff. Now I see Omar on the thing, man, pressing the type of irons and stuff, man, and that he be doing, and he's in phenomenal. So now he's looked like he's a loss. He's coming down. I see them doing some boxing stuff. Now I want him to know that's my brother.
That's right, bro. You've been an uncle and to them, and it's really a blessing, man. I thank you both, you know, and I mean one day, Steve, we got to go further into corrections when, you know, and all of the stuff that we were doing, and we you know, since we out now, we can talk about some of that stuff, you know. Yeah, man. Some really good stuff. Well, I can't go into it because it'll start now another conversation beyond it. But man, I want to thank you for being present, Steve. Thank you, Professor Steve, and thank you, Grandmaster Bill, for your brotherhood forever and ever. And you know how we say we're gonna be together until what?
To thick and thin, all the way till we win.
And you say till the wheels fall off.
Till the wheels fall off.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you all for being present on the show. And everybody, listen, you're just being exposed. Again, like when it's been said that Sanuces, Doc, he said, I am Sanuces. Dr. Moses Powell said, I am Sanuces. And I didn't understand until at the end, till after his life had ended, his physical life ended, I didn't understand. But the experience, that all of his experience made Sanuces. No one, you know what I'm saying? His experience demonstrated it was his life that we were studying and should have been studying, not his art.
Yes.
It was his life, because his life produced Sanuces.
Yes.
That's what it was. So I understand it now. And there are those, and I'll end with this, Grandmaster Bill and Professor Steve, that there are those who talk about styles, you know, or names, because I already know that what I do, what you do, we do Sanuces. We perform the system of Sanuces. How can we not? Because it's a part of us. But Doc taught us. He taught us. He said, and he presented to us that he don't take anything from us. He adds to us, and whatever he puts on top, you see, that's icing. That makes the flavor of the cake. He said, but he makes us better people. So when you hear, and I've heard Grandmaster Bill, Professor Steve, I've heard others talk about what we have done, and that we may call it something. Doc says, no matter what you call it, you know you're doing Sanuces.
That's right.
But guess what? We know we're doing Sanuces.
That's right.
But we also you have an extensive background in Aikido as well. You have studied with Grand Professor V and have done really, you studied a lot with him and have gotten a lot from him. You have a great background. So what your background is, and when you name the name of your school, it's not taking anything from Sanuces. It's adding to Sanuces.
That's right.
So anyway, for those who have any question on whether we doing Sanuces, there is no question, because we've had more Sanuces than many of them have had Sanuces that want to call what they do Sanuces.
That's right.
You know, so I just want to say that, and it's not a slight to anyone. It is a lift, so that you can gain the knowledge necessary so that you can respect your elders and stop talking about your elders in a negative way, because this is why we're here, to support our elders, Dr. Moses Powell. All right, family, thank you for the time. Thank you, brothers,
Thank
for
you. Thank you,
your patience, man, and all that you've done, and the kind of brothers that you've been to me.
Us.
All right.
Every student of a master here today, you reflect your master teacher. You want to walk like him. You want to talk like her. But you start by having an object in front of you that you admire.